Hi everybody, Shuko here to do a little bit of a demo on Dancer. Now, I've made a couple attempts at this, and I gotta admit, I have a lot of respect for people like Ruamoko and Logical and all the people out there that have made audio guides that are heavily edited and very smooth talking, and I have a lot of respect for that. I wish that I could provide you guys with something similar today, and I'm going to try. Now, I know Ruamoko has already provided everybody with a dancer guide. As much as I respect Ruamoko's opinion, I particularly really enjoyed his samurai guide. I found a lot educational about that. I'll note that Ruamoko is very, very new to the job of dancer. So I figured that I could make maybe a little bit more thorough of a guide for the job. And in my attempts of doing so, I've found myself coming across more and more things that I could say. So we're going to break this into parts. I'd like to do this in 3 parts, but it might even wind up being 4 parts. And I know that's a lot. Dancer is capable of many, many things. Not all at the same time, but a lot. And so we're going to cover a lot of that. For this episode, I plan to get into the job abilities that Dancer can do. So we would be talking about things such as the Hey Samba that you may see people use as a sub job, the waltzes that you see people use as a sub job, the jigs. I mean, most people are pretty familiar with Dancer as a sub job, but there's a lot more that they can do, and we're going to talk about that today. So, Dancer's primary weapon is a dagger. At some point, they decided, oh yeah, we don't want them to be some ninja for dual wielding, and they gave us dual wield on our own. It was pretty early on. Thieves didn't get the same love until later, and at a much later level. So people like the sub as well because you can wield 2 weapons. But let's talk about some of the abilities. Dancer winds up having a whole plethora, and I'm sub paladin, so we're going to ignore Shield Bash, Holy Circle, Sentinel, and Cover. We're going to start from the top. Trance is the original 2-hour ability that was given to Dancer, and I'm going to call it 2 hours sometimes. You'll have to forgive me. Some modern players will call it SPs, but back when they originally came out, they were 2 hours long, and some of us older players still call them 2 hours. It winds up essentially enabling you to use any of your abilities without a TP cost. All of the job abilities that dancers use, are at least 90% of them, use TP or some type of resource that you need TP for. So, Trance enables you to do free sambas, it enables you to cure, it enables you to do steps, and any of your job abilities that would involve TP use. Oh, hi, Leaper. Now, as you get higher in the job points, you actually can spend points on Trance and get more out of it. The notable bonus, I would say, is once you're mastered and you use Trance, you'll actually get an instant deposit of 2,000 TP. So it's almost like the Samurai's 2-hour in a way, except not the exact same. But it's a nice boost, and you can combo with that, knowing what you're going to do. We're going to jump down to the bottom here and talk about their other SP first, before we get to everything else, and that's called Grand Pause. Grand Pause essentially winds up resetting all of the dancers' timers that they have for their abilities, and then it enables you to use 3 flourishes without any repercussions of needing finishing moves or timers. Now, I know that probably sounds confusing, but as we talk more about the job and I go into some of the combos that it's capable of, you'll start to come up with things yourself too that I may not have even thought of. It's a lot, and you can go from a massive healer to a massive damage dealer to enfeebling massive amounts of mobs in a matter of moments. You can't do it all at once, though. So Grand Pause combined with Trance is actually a very powerful combo. I know some jobs don't do good using both of theirs, but Dancer is very, very good with both. Now, moving on, we have the Sambas. There are 3 families of Samba: Drain, Asper, and Haste. Now, Asper and Drain are pretty self-explanatory. One drains MP, and one drains HP. And they're pretty similar in name to the spells. Honestly, that's all I'm really going to say about them. They were very useful in the 75 era, but they don't drain for enough MP or HP to be very relevant versus the last one. And that is Hey Samba. Hey Samba gives a 5% job ability haste to everybody that's hitting the same monster of the Dancer. This can be very, very potent. And then if you put the 5 merit, which you totally should, by the way, 5 merit points into Hey Samba's power, it's 10% job ability haste. And this is the only way that a dual wielder or some one-handed weapon users can wind up hitting their maximum haste. So Dancer can be incredibly powerful in this. And also, unlike a lot of buffs, this affects everybody in an alliance that's targeting the same monster as the Dancer. There's a couple caveats about Samba I would like to get into, however, and not a lot of people know it, and I'd like to talk about that because, for instance, red mages have a spell called End Spell, and they can add elements to their weapons. Rune Fencer can add runes to their weapons and add elements. This will wind up canceling out the effect of a Samba. Your haste Sambas Enfeeble won't take effect on the monster. Instead, you'll just get end spell damage. You have to cancel these buffs if you need the haste Samba to take effect. So, that being said, it's 350 TP, and it only lasts about 2 minutes on a main Dancer, but if you get the relic head, or I'm sorry, the artifact head, you can get it to last a little bit longer. Now, that's the Samba. Super duper useful. There's a couple of other things that Dancers can do. So let's move to the next family. Waltzes. Waltzes are essentially the cure line for a Dancer. They have 3 families: Curing, Divine, and Healing. Curing goes up to 5, and frankly, we're just going to ignore Curing 5. It costs 800 TP, and it's pretty much not worth it. I mean, you may be able to fit it into your setup, but frankly, I consider it a massive waste of TP, so don't use it. Curing Waltz 4 is 650. This one I would use in a panic situation. I got hit for a ton of damage, I'm in the red, somebody's in the red, and you need to get them back up to full instantly. It costs a lot, but it's very worth it. So I do actually have this on my main bar. But the bread and butter one that I find myself using more than any other one is Curing Waltz 3. This one costs 500. That's an easy number to remember. It can heal for over 1,000 if a proper set is set up, and you'll find yourself doing this one a lot. It's also capable to be used by sub-jobs. Curing Waltz 2 and Curing Waltz 1, I find their TP costs aren't amazingly cost efficient versus what you'll get from 3. But in a pinch, sometimes I find myself going to them just to wake somebody up or top them off. Divine Waltz 1 and 2 are the area of effect versions of this. And Divine Waltz 1 will get you maybe up to 400 on everybody around you in your party. And Divine Waltz 2 can get maybe up to 800. You can use Contra Dance on either of these, and it will double the amount cured. And that has a 5-minute cooldown. Now, Healing Waltz is like the Dancer's Erase. And it can remove pretty much anything, any of the Na stuff except for Petrification. It can't remove Amnesia. And it can't remove things like Impact. Actually, it actually can remove certain parts of Impact. Some impacts it can't. It can't remove Zombie. Anything that a white mage is going to struggle to remove, you can't remove. And then Petrification. When Contra Dance is used on Healing Waltz, it makes the effect area of effect for your group. And it can't be used outside of party, unfortunately. The other waltzes can hit people outside of your party, but Healing Waltz cannot. Something to keep in mind. The next line, this is an easy one. The Jigs. These don't cost TP. I call these the quality of life job abilities. You have Spectral Jig, which gives you about a 3-minute long sneak and invisible. And then you have Chocobo Jig, which is a single target speed. And Chocobo Jig 2, which is a party speed effect of about 20%. This is pretty on par for what you'd see from a summoner or a bard for running fast. And to be honest, they don't stack very well either. But you will find yourself playing very nicely with a Corsair roll. These are enhanced by the relic feet. I'm sorry, the relic legs. And there's also another piece. I believe the artifact feet also help it as well, but they don't stack. So usually you just want one piece to enhance the duration and make them last a lot longer. Next would be the steps. These are enfeeblements. They all cost 100 TP to use. I usually open a battle with them, and they can go up to level 10. A quick step lowers evasion, making the monster easier to hit for everybody. Box step lowers defense, making the monster hit for more damage. Stutter step lowers magic evasion, making mages able to hit things easier. And feather step lowers its critical hit rate, meaning that all your DPSs are going to be hitting for way more crits. Combined, these are devastating. But if you just use these abilities, you wind up only getting one level up from them. And they can go up to level 10. If you were to do this in one level increments, the monster would probably be dead before you hit level 10. So something you would wind up wanting to use in tandem with this is called Presto. And that is down here. It winds up having a 10-second recast, or 15-second about. And you can use it very quickly. And I use this before every step. I have it in my macro for my steps. And I make sure I use it every time I can. So what that does is it winds up leveling up your step by 4 more levels than usual. So you'll go right to level 5, and then if you use it again, you'll go right to max on that step. Assuming it doesn't get, healed or something. So you can very quickly get the steps leveled up. Now, most monsters die very quickly, so you'll want to stick to box step. But for long fights, you can level all these up and maintain these steps. Now, outside of the enfeeblement, why would you want to do that? Well, you wind up getting something called finishing moves. That's this little icon up here I'm putting my mouse over. Finishing moves are what you use to use the next category we're going to talk about, flourishes. But we'll get to that in just a sec. Finishing moves can go up to 5 for a dancer when they hit 99. And when you go up to mastery, you can actually store up to 9 finishing moves. And that enables you to do a lot more combos. So keep in mind how far you are on your dancer and how many finishing moves you can store, because that's going to control what type of combos you're capable of. Moving to the next one. Let's skip flourishes for 1 second. We're going to talk about these 3 abilities. I call these first 2 the mode, Saber Dance and Fan Dance. They're both merited abilities, and I would only put 1 merit in each. There's some argument to be made for more merits in Fan Dance, but I'll explain further why I would disagree with that when I go over my merits. Saber Dance gives you a 50% double attack buff that deteriorates 1% per hit until it sits flat at 20% double attack. So with Saber Dance up, you're essentially giving yourself a warrior's level of double attack. And if you're sub-warrior, well, that's another 11 or 10+% there, plus your gear, plus your aftermath if you have that. It starts to add up and you start swinging your dagger a lot. But what's the catch? When Saber Dance is up, you're not able to do waltzes. So it completely shuts those off. And that'll cause some problems. Sometimes I've gotten myself killed because I couldn't cure myself because I was in Saber Dance and I forgot I turned it on. Now on the flip side, you have Fan Dance. Well, Fan Dance is the defensive form of Saber Dance, essentially. Fan Dance gives you 90% damage taken down, and that goes over cap and on top of your gear. So you can essentially stop 99% of the damage for a couple of hits. It deteriorates 1% per hit on you until it stays flat at 20 DT2. So a dancer in fan dance essentially can have 70 damage taken, kind of like a Burt Gang Paladin or a Ergon Rune Fencer, but without having to spend as much money. And they don't get as good a gear as, say, a Paladin, so they're not as sturdy as a Burt Gang Paladin, but they are very sturdy when played properly. The next ability on the list is a merit ability called No Foot Rise. And this essentially just instantly gives you finishing moves. You can spend up to 1 to 5 levels on it, and depending on how many levels you put into it, that's how many finishing moves you'll get. Early dancers, I suggest, go all the way up to 5 on this. But as you get better and your sets get better, and you get the relic feat, which I'll talk about that in a sec, you usually don't need as much. Personally, myself, I have this at 3. And that's plenty good for any of the combos that I do. Contra Dance I talked a little bit about, and how that doubles your waltzes. So that pretty much covers all the dancer's abilities except the flourishes. And I saved those for last because this is a big conversation. Flourishes come in 3 categories, and each of them have their own separate cooldowns in the category, but it shares the same cooldown. What do I mean by that? If you were to use Violent Flourish, this one at the bottom, it has a certain amount of cooldown, and it shuts down you from using Animated Flourish or Desperate Flourish until that cooldown is cooled. So you can only pick 1 Flourish from each category in any of the combos that you're building. So let's talk about Flourish 1. Animated Flourish is essentially a Voke. It's a weaker Voke with 1 finishing move, and it's as strong as a Voke with 2. But frankly, it's not that great, and I only use it for pulling or desperate attempts to get something off of a healer. Voke is better in most instances, or Flash, or like I'm sub-paladin, I would use Flash before Animated Flourish. But it is there. It's an option to be aware of. Desperate Flourish causes gravity, and that's very useful, but since Rudra Storm came out, Rudra Storm also causes gravity, so I find myself very rarely using Desperate Flourish anymore, but it is there, and it doesn't cause damage, so if you're trying to put gravity on something that you don't want to wake up, for instance, maybe Desperate Flourish is the way to go. Violent Flourish is a stun. And this is the one for category 1 that I used the most. It takes 1 finishing move. It has a short recast. I think it's 15 seconds. Or maybe 20. And it's more accurate than it says it is, especially once you gear for magic accuracy. So a lot of times I'll do a big combo. The monster turns towards me. I'll have 1 finishing move left or 2. And I slap a Violent Flourish on them to stun them. Just so they don't beat me up. And it gives the tank a chance to get hate back. Going into Flourish category 2, we have Reverse Flourish, Building Flourish, and Wild Flourish. Reverse Flourish essentially converts up to 5 finishing moves into TP. And whenever you see a dancer instantly get a ton of TP, that's how they're doing it. You can weapon skill Reverse Flourish into another weapon skill to make a very easy 2-step skill chain. But there's a lot more things you can do. If you sub Samurai and use Sekinoki at 3k TP, you could say Evisceration into a Rudra's, and then Reverse Flourish and get a level 4 Darkness. So Reverse Flourish is very powerful, and probably the main one that most dancers would use until mastered. Building Flourish is one I find myself using a lot more now as a mastered dancer. You find yourself with excess finishing moves, and not a lot of things to use it on. Building Flourish has a very quick cooldown. It's 10 or 15 seconds, I believe. And so you can open with that, get the buff on you. That lasts for 60 seconds. And then while you're mid-combo, Flourish 2 category has now reset, and you can use a Reverse Flourish too. So Building Flourish can use up to 1 to 3 finishing moves. And if you get all 3 used on it, you get a lot of boosts. I would also encourage you to look at the benefits when you put job points into it. You start to get critical hit rate, weapon skill damage bonuses, and it's very strong. I've gotten numbers close to my climactic flourishes too with building flourish, but we'll get to that in a second. Wild flourish. Well, samurais, if you've ever played Sam, you might be aware of Cons in its eye. This winds up putting chainbound onto the monster, and you can wind up creating a skill chain. Well, this is similar for dancers too. It consumes a finishing move, and it puts a skill bound effect on the monster. Here's the difference. It's not very good. You can't make a lot of very good skill chains with it. You can make level 1 skill chains, and a couple level 2, but frankly, I will show you a few combos, and you'll see what I mean. Let's go to level 3. In Flourishes 3, we're going to talk about these first too. Striking and Ternary Flourish wind up making your attack double attack or triple attack for the next attack. And they sound great. You should use them before a weapon skill with lots of hits or guaranteed critical. And yeah, you can get some results. Pyrocleos in particular is pretty decent with Ternary Flourish, the weapon skill. But the money, the one you're going to be spending this category on all the time, is Climactic Flourish. Think of it like a thief's sneak attack. It guarantees a critical for the next hit. Except you don't have to be behind the monster. You can do it from the front, the side, wherever. And it can consume 1 to 5 finishing moves. What does the benefit of using more finishing moves do? Well, each finishing move consumed gives a guaranteed critical for the next that many rounds. So if you consume 5 finishing moves, you will actually get 5 rounds of critical strikes. So a way I would use this would be Climactic Flourish, Ruger Storm, Reverse Flourish, Ruger Storm, and both Ruger Storms will be critical with Climactic Flourish bonuses. There's other ways you can combine it as well, depending on speed, or if you turn around and stop yourself from attacking and gain TP through other methods such as Trance, No Foot Rise, or Grand Pass, or even TP Wings. This is essentially where you see dancers one-shot a monster and you wonder how. It's with this. It also adds charisma to your modifier, like an Utu grip adds dex to your weapon skills. So it can wind up getting some really good results out of even hand-to-hand weapon skills like Tornado Kick or certain sword ones. I mean, it's impressive. But that covers all the flourishes. And now we've pretty much talked about all of the dancer's job abilities, and I'm sure you're really bored. So, let's show some battle. I've come here to Promi. This is Promi Maya on the first floor. For some of you who haven't been here in a while, they've actually added Apex monsters. And they're very high level. So let's get started with that. I'm not going to summon any trust for now, because I just want to do a little bit of a demo of what this is capable of. I'm sub-paladin. And that's going to enable me to flash pool, and if things get ugly, I can sentinel. I like it for casting raises on my friends when they die and somebody forgets a re-raise. I like a lot of other subs too, and I'll talk about them more. But for this demo, I'm going to be sub-paladin. One last thing I'll point out is let's talk about the merits for Dancer. I have 5 in Haste Samba effect, 5 in Reverse Flourish effect. A case can be made for building Flourish instead of Reverse Flourish, but that's about that. Step Accuracy I don't think is worth it. Saber Dance 1, Fan Dance 1, No Foot Rise 3, and I talked about that a little bit. Let's talk about this last one, Closed Position. Closed Position says it gives an accuracy and evasion bonus of 3. So with 5 in there, that would be 15, which is nice. But the real money is if you pair this with the Relic Feat for Dancer. It winds up enhancing Closed Position to give you tons of stored PP and tons of accuracy and attack. I think it's 100 accuracy, 100 attack, and 25 stored TP. I might be off by a couple, but it is a lot. and it is worth investing in. Now, that being said, let's get into some of the fun stuff. I know I could sit here and talk about job abilities and all types of stuff. Dancer does get some fun job traits. They have accuracy and evasion. They wind up getting dual wield. They have resistance to slow. I already talked about closed position. They get critical attack bonuses, so they do more critical damage and conserve TP and damage limit. Tactical parry, too. And a skill chain bonus, yeah. They get a very big bonus to when they do skill chains versus other jobs. But I would say Niame armor has shut this down a little. The full set of Niame armor will give you the same bonus a Dancer gets. Right, let's pull a monster and have a little conversation. Come here, Apex. Pull out my weapons. Now, at this point I already have finishing moves, so I'm going to spend some and build a Building Flourish. That's on me for 60 seconds now. He's taking damage on me, and I'm at half health. I need to heal myself, so I'm going to Waltz. Now you'll notice I got a shadow. A blink shadow. That's something from something called the Dashing Subligar. And it winds up turning any waltzes that you use on yourself into a shadow. It's very useful. Now we're sitting here going back and forth each other 90%, right? It's not looking good. Let's hit him with a step. Presto into quick step, level 5. Let's get a Samba going. Now he hit me for a lot. When I use my haste Samba, I actually switch into a DPS set. I probably shouldn't do that, but it's something I do for moments where I need it. Now I have enough TP to hit him with a weapon skill. And I have 5+ finishing moves. I did lose my Building Flourish, though, because of that Pedakle. So I'm probably going to want to use that again. Okay. Now, I'm going to do my combo. Climactic Flourish. Rudra Storm. No Foot Rise. Reverse Flourish. Rudra Storm. And heal myself. Were y'all scared for me? You notice I didn't get any trust out, right? I figured I'd make this demo a little more interesting. So you've seen me waltz. You've seen me climactic flourish. And by the way, that's still going. I haven't hit him a lot. He's very evasive. So, let's heal myself. Let's get a quick step. Make him easier to hit. And I'm going to show you the next flourish I use. Violent. It didn't stun him that time, but it actually does hit and do damage. Higher level, people will resist it more. Now, you've seen me use Reverse Flourish, and you've seen me use Building Flourish. Let's show you something else. Oh, I missed Wild Flourish. Wow, okay. That's pretty rare. I'll have to try that again. Let's heal myself first. Okay, so. Wild Flourish. Shadow Stitch. Fragmentation. To me, that's the best one I got. For dagger, you can make fusion with combo and hand-to-hand. And there's a couple other combos. But frankly, Kanzenetai is way better. Okay, so I've shown you those. Let's show you animated. Just evoke. Nothing fancy. $30 seconds, just like provoke on the cooldown. Okay, now I'm going to reverse flourish to build up some TP. Trying to give myself a bank in case I need to heal myself a little bit. When you play Dancer, you don't think about TP the same way. You're not looking at it to just get to a weapon skill. You're using every TP specifically for a purpose. You can waltz, and then weapon skill. You can build up your healings, hey Samba, and then weapon skill. Job abilities reset your attack timer, so you want to be very smart about how you time this stuff. So that being said, let's build a little more TP. Now what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to hey Samba, and then I'm going to waltz and cure myself, and then I'm going to weapon skill. Very quickly together. Let's stun you too. Or try. Yeah, I didn't think it would stick. Drifters are incredibly evasive. But that's kind of why I wanted them. They use defensive moves. They're really good for hitting and teaching things. Okay, so I'm going to lower his evasion now. Oh, I need more TP. There we go. Let's reverse flourish. Okay. Now I'm going to do a box step to lower his defense. Climactic Flourish is back up again, and we're going to try to hit him hard. Let's reverse again. I'm going to heal myself, and I'm going to get box step to level 10. Okay. Here we go. Oh, I missed. Yikes. He has lots of shadows up right now. Very evasive little bugger. So I've shown you all of the... Well, actually, I take that back. I haven't. Let's switch to Fan Dance now, because he's hitting me very hard. And I need a moment to think. 19 damage. Parried. Give myself some TP. And as that wears, I can actually use my sub-job ability Sentinel and make myself even more defensive. Now let's get Feather Step up again. Or Quick Step. Okay. 10 seconds on my next Climactic Flourish. Here we go. Oh, it's getting close. Okay. Let's try to get another feather step on him. Alright. So you've seen me use Fan Dance. I'm not going to use Saber Dance this time because I am solo and I need to heal myself. But if you have a good Truster healer, Saber Dance is very good to use. So that time what I did is I healed, I reverse flourished, and I used the weapon skill before my climactic war. Man, I don't think he can be stunned. Some of people are immune to it. So, I'm going to cancel my Fan Dance. And now I'm going to try to create a Hey Samba. And then I'm going to cure myself. Okay, so now I have finishing moves. Yeah, let's eat some food. This guy's really hard to hit. These guys usually want proper support and a party and everything. There we go. Now I'm hitting him nice and good. Okay. So I'm going to heal myself. I'm going to Building Flourish. And this time I'm going to give him the ultimate combo. We're going to use the full 2 hour. Alright. Here we go. Climactic Flourish. No Foot Rise. Reverse Flourish. Rouger Storm. Trance. Healing Waltz 4. Climactic Flourish. Rouger Storm. Regular Rouger... Or sorry, Reverse Flourish. Regular Rouger Storm. Reverse Flourish. Climactic Flourish. Dead. And that's Dancer, guys. Now, I only talked about a little bit of Dancer today. I could sit here and people will say, what's the best Rayma, Shuko? Should I get the Twashtar? Should I get the Mythic? Should I get the Aeonic Dagger? Is the Tard any good? I'm sure people have millions of questions. And they're all very good questions. But instead of thinking about what the ultimate weapon is to get and grinding only on that, I really encourage people to work on your armor and practice your skills and your timing, because even with mediocre gear, you can accomplish the things that you saw me do here. If you don't practice your tactics, you could have the greatest gear in the world and still play like a noob. Don't be that person. So, that being said, what did we cover today? We went over every job ability that a dancer has in their repertoire. We went over the merit selections. We went over the job traits, and we did one battle and used some basic combos in a solo situation without trusts. Next week, we're going to talk about the selections for how I have my macros placed. And to give you a little preview, Rudras, Climactic Flourish Rudras, Building Flourish, the steps, Fan Dance, Hey Samba, Flasher, Voke. I combine some macros sometimes. And then on my other page, Evisceration, Alien Edge, Exonerator, Violent Flourish, No Foot Rise, Reverse Flourish, Healing Waltz, Divine Waltz 2, Cure Waltz 4, and Cure Waltz 3. Now I use many other pages, but this is what I call my hybrid page, and this is the one I use the most. And this is what you saw me using today. When you go to these macros, a lot of people like to use Gear Swap. I'm going to give you a little tip. Don't ask me for a Lua. I don't have them. I use equip sets. I know of Luas. I know how to use them. But as a Link Shell leader that's seen many people fail with Luas because they forgot to change that one line, or oops, I got a new piece of gear and I forgot to update my Lua, I'm just so tired of that. I trust equip sets a lot more. But some people are very good coders and are very good at maintaining those things. And if that's the case, I would encourage you to stick with what you know best. But if you are new to the game and you're trying to learn and you've heard some people talk about gear swap and how you need to learn it, that's not true. You don't have to. I've outplayed people who use gear swap every day. They just don't know how to play the game. If you know how to play the game, you'll do great. And if you practice, it'll show. But if you just pay for bots to get your XP and mercs to get all your gear, you didn't learn anything along the way. So that's really what this guide is about. I'm really trying to teach you guys tactics. I'm going to teach you guys how I set up my macros. I'm going to teach you combos and why I love Dancer so much. I'm going to talk about sub-job selection because, trust me, sub-paladin is not the only choice. So I hope you join me on this journey as I teach you guys about Dancer in a deeper way. And I'd also highly encourage you to watch Ruamoko's video as well, because it covers a lot. Now, for now, I'm signing out. Thanks for watching. I'm Shuko. And keep watching further for more Final Fantasy XI and other video game videos. I'm trying this on for size, so let me know what you guys think by bringing my VTuber in to talk about Final Fantasy XI guides. Thanks, and I'll see you again.